It's your open source advocate, and I'm back with another video. And today I wanted to go over the other open source applications and services that I'm using on a regular basis still in 2026. I've already done part one of this video, so if you haven't checked it out, definitely go down to the show notes, check that out. The link's in the description below. But I wanted to go through a few others. I didn't get to cover everything. As I just kept thinking about it, I was like, wow, I really didn't cover a lot of things that I use. So here's just the list I'm going to go through, but we're going to jump into it now. Prepare your eyes, because some of these things do have a light screen, and this first one really does. But it is WriteFreely. It's just a blogging software that I like. I started a project a couple years ago and things kind of happened, but I'm about to finish this project, so I'm excited. But I bought a grand piano, an old grand piano, for a pretty cheap price. And my wife and I took everything apart, and her brother, my brother-in-law, helped us out. We got all the piano wire out of it. We got the harp out of it, which is about a 400-pound piece of iron, about 200 kilograms, a little less than 200 kilograms. It was a lot of effort, but we did it, and we got everything empty where it was just the wood case with the lid and legs and everything like that. We got the key bed out, which is another 75 or 80 pounds. So once you get all that out, your piano is actually something you can just pick up and move. It's pretty great. But we started that, and we started sanding it. We got it sanded down, and then my brother-in-law, who paints cars, came down and actually painted this thing for me. So I was just documenting the journey and talking about why I was doing this. So this was kind of part one, and I just went through kind of my history. So I had a friend who had a V50, and he really got me into synthesizers back in the late 80s. We loved to get together and just make music, and it was so much fun, and just really just so much cool stuff we could do. So I ended up getting a PV DPM3 SE that I used, and loved it, and made tons and tons of music with it. And eventually I upgraded to something I've still got today. This was in the early 2000s, maybe 2003. I got the KeyStation Pro 88 from M-Audio, which is just an amazing weighted key controller. So if you don't know anything about synthesizers, this has lightweight keys, and this has weighted keys, so it feels like a piano. And then I got one of these guys, a Yamaha system, to get some sounds out of, and eventually just moved to using my Mac because GarageBand was awesome. And then I bought this thing, and this is the piano that I bought in the way that it was, except for having the lid on. We had taken the lid off. So we took all this stuff out and took it off, and then we just had kind of an empty shell that needed to be cleaned. So we cleaned it, and this is my brother-in-law's shop. And when we cut those wires, there's a pickup under this plastic, and those things shot into this plastic, and I was so glad he had plastic over that, or it would have screwed up a bunch of stuff, because those things really, really flew across the room when we did that. But yeah, so that was kind of step one, and I'm just journaling this progress. So he came, we got it all sanded down, so you can see it's pretty much sanded there. Took a lot of work. My wife and I really had a good time though, just getting outside and sanding on this thing. And then, so part three was my brother-in-law came down. That's part two still. Sorry, clicking on the wrong thing. He came down and he started painting. So you can see that we're getting all the old paint off. This is my wife sanding everything down. And then we set up this temporary tent over Thanksgiving a couple years ago, and he came down and he started doing everything, getting all the primer on it. And honestly, I kind of like the white. I might have wanted to go white, but I love the slick black. I mean, look at this thing. Look at how shiny that is. It's going to be amazing. He's got some clear coat. So yeah, so it's literally been sitting on its edge. He took the legs because he didn't like how they came out. He took the top, and he took some other things with him back to his shop about 350 miles from here, where he's had them, just because things happen. We had family who got sick and passed away, and just work and everything else got in the way. So he's got those finished, and I'm excited because I'll get those parts and I'll be able to finish that, and I'll finish this journey. But that's WriteFreely. And the way I'm getting the pictures is I'm actually using the next pick on the list here, which is called Picsur. So if you've ever used, I can't even think of the name of it, the thing you use online to upload images so you can link to them, that's what this is, except it's self-hosted and it's open source, and I love it. And making these two things work together didn't take a lot of effort, but I do have a blog post about it. So if you're interested in doing something like this, it's pretty great, because you can link to those images, and it just makes it really cool that it brings those in from Picsur. So I actually put the images here, and I just link to them in my blog posts. The next thing is something I should have mentioned in the first video, honestly. OpenWRT I have been using for several years now. I did videos on this when I started using it, and I did videos about how to create VLANs with it and how to do so much really awesome stuff. And this is my main router. It's a TP-Link. I don't remember the model off the top of my head. It may be under system information. I don't honestly remember if it'll show that or not. but it's pretty awesome, and I think it does a great job. I got it as part of the Omada package, and so, oh, here it is, TP-Link ER605 V2, so it's not too hard to get the OpenWRT on this thing, and it's pretty great. So yeah, I've got OpenWRT running on it, and I've got a bunch of VLANs that I've set up, and then what I've got is, in the rest of the house, I've got these EAP615 walls. So I'll blow this up, but this is on my Wi-Fi networks that I'm running off of some of those VLANs. You can see the different things that are connected to it, but this is just acting like an AP. It's not a router, it's just acting like an access point, which I really like, because I just passed the VLANs through it, and it's got 4 ports, one that's a PoE port in the back to power it, and then that comes through the wall. And then it's got 3 ports underneath that have PoE going out, and you can set those on different VLANs, and that's what I do. So then I split those out with switches that are managed and unmanaged both. But I've got a lot of equipment, and everything that I can, I run OpenWRT on it. Just because it's such a flexible, powerful system. I really, really enjoy it. I just want to say thank you so much to all my patrons and all the people that support me in various different ways. If you'd like to support the channel and this content, you can jump over to Patreon and become a patron. Truly, I appreciate that commitment. It means so much, and it helps keep the channel going. If you'd like to do a one-off, you can do a buy me a beer, buy me a coffee with PayPal. If you'd like to get something out of your donation back to me, you can jump over to the store I've got linked in the description. You can buy some really great merchandise that has awesome open source titling on it. It's really nice stuff. I really like these things. The shirts are great. The mugs are great. The glasses, the tumblers, everything. Really top-notch stuff. I really like it. So just wanted to let you know about that as well. And finally, if you'd like to, buy my book. I wrote a book. It's a great science fiction book. It's really fun. I enjoyed doing it. I had so much fun doing it. I used open source software to get it all done. So definitely check that out as well. And I'll have links for everything in the show notes and the description. Thank you so much. Now let's get back to the video. WLED, this is another one that just really, I can't tell you how much I like this and enjoy this project, and I use it quite a bit. So I buy these LEDs from BTF Lighting. I like their LED strips. I watch a channel called Chris, and I'll try to link to it. He does some really cool stuff with WLED, and then all kinds of different LED strips, but he tends to go with BTF Lighting for his own projects, which is pretty awesome as well. But yeah, I mean, they're easy to set up, they're easy to hook up. You just put this thing on a little ESP board that you used to could get 3 for like $11 or something. It's crazy, like $3 for one of these boards, and it'll run more than one WLED system, so you can run actually a couple of them off of 2 different pins. It's really awesome. And I built these little boxes, so when I was out of work, I used my 3D printing skills to make some little boxes that used Wago clips that were all just kind of super glued onto the box. And basically, yeah, I can just wire things up very quickly with that, and I can switch things out very quickly, and I power it really easily with barrel connectors and stuff. So I really enjoyed that project. These days I'm buying things from Glidopto. I like their little boxes. They do some awesome stuff. They've got mics built in for music and things like that. And I've got more LED projects I'll be doing, but this one actually is running something that's behind me right now on my wall that I built. Again, I 3D printed a hexagon and a whole bunch of little triangles, and I put the LED strips inside of those things and connected them in between. And yeah, it was just a fun project for me to do. And my wife helped me out with that. And they look really good. I'll get some video of that, and I'll include it while I'm talking about this section right here so that you guys can see that as well. But yeah, I mean, what a powerful system. It's just so flexible. And if you really learn how to use all of the things, so it's got favorites, and it's got things where you can make sections and make different sections of the LED strips do different things. And they've got so many LED strips, and it just supports any of them. It's amazing. I really like this one. WLED is awesome. And then OpenSprinkler Pi. So this is my little one. So this only has my zone 1 and my bubblers. But in fact, it's sprinkling outside, but I'm gonna run my bubblers anyways because the trees need it. But yeah, this is great. I really like this system. It lets me control my sprinklers from away, which is awesome. Did I start that? I thought I clicked start. Oh, it didn't have any time in it. It's not going to run if I don't put time in it. So I can start my sprinklers as easy as that. You know, if you've ever used the hardware sprinklers that end up on your wall, painful. Just absolutely painful. So you can see this thing's running, and you can see it's giving me a countdown here. So it'll let me know when it's done. So I'll zoom that up just so you can see it. But yeah, I mean, it tells me how long's left, and it's going to stop on its own, and it's running. And I could actually queue this one to start, but I don't need to run that one right now. I really like this. It's so simple, and it hooks up to a Raspberry Pi. I connect it to the controller board, and I've actually even got a touch screen. I've done a whole video on this before, but I do use this all the time. I live in a place where it's hot, like 8 or 9 months out of the year, and you have to water your yard if you want things to be green. and I've got a whole different project going on in my yard, so I'll talk about that at some point as well. Technitium DNS, I use this as well. This is kind of where I switched to out of Pi-hole for the most part, and it's open source. I really like this system. It lets me set up all of my different domains, and I can track the traffic that's going on. So this is my main DNS system. I've got a second one that runs, and it just syncs with this one. So any changes I make here, it gets made on the second one, and that's amazing. So I really like that quite a bit. And it's kind of a failover, which is really nice. But yeah, I love this one. It's a great system. I've really been using it a lot. And it's got a lot of really cool functionality that I'm not even using yet, so I'm going to be learning more about it, and I'll do some extra follow-up videos on it to help you guys kind of understand how it functions and how it works. I really can't say enough good things about this one. So Technitium's awesome. Now, it looks like I'm done in the browser, but that's because I've got a bunch of applications down here at the bottom that I'm going to go through. So first is RustDesk. I do use RustDesk, and I use this for myself, for my clients. I run my own server, so I do have to get them to go in and set up the server. I found out there are some config files where I could create some scripts to install the application and set up the config for them so they wouldn't have to do that. But most of the time it's not that hard, or I set it up for them while I'm on site, and then I can just have them open it, give me their number, and then I can connect. And it's all through my system. It's not something where you could get through it through the global RustDesk system, and it runs through my server, so I'm not depending on their servers to be up. I really like this. It's such a great system, and if you haven't tried it in a while, it has gotten so much better. I love the warnings, to be honest. I think this is just great because they're saying like Wayland support is not fully supporting it for Linux, which is a useful thing. Although I've had really good luck with Wayland so far, so I appreciate that they've done that work. I'll tell you too, they give warnings about, hey, if somebody's asking you to download this thing and you don't know who they are, you should really not do that because it could be somebody scamming you. I appreciate that they do that. I've seen some requests on their GitHub issues where somebody was like, hey, could you make it blank out the other person's screen when I'm controlling it? I think that's so shady and terrible, and I'm sure somebody has a valid reason why they may want to do that, but honestly, if you're connected to somebody else's machine, you should not be blacking out the screen where they can't see what you're doing ever. Like if you're having to do things where you're worried about them seeing what you're doing, you need to do it in a different way. You should not be asking people like that make these kind of tools to do that. And I'm so glad. I don't think they've ever done that. I think that's just such a shady, weird thing. I've had literal professional companies who want to do that. And to me, that's like, no. You don't get to black out the screen. Like if you're having to type in stuff that I don't know what you're typing, I don't want you connected to my system. And I'm telling you right now, I would 100% just disconnect you at that moment. There would not be any question about it. So I appreciate the controls they've given into this. It's such a great system. RustDesk is awesome. I've got several videos on it, so definitely go check it out. And I think these days it's much easier to get it set up. You don't have to go grab the keys and all that stuff for security like you used to. So they've made it a lot easier. So I need to do a follow-up video on it, actually. For my video editing, I use KdenLive and I use Shotcut, and my video editor uses Shotcut as well. I do some of my own videos occasionally when I just need something really quick, but for the most part, she uses Shotcut to do all my videos. And you can see they're very formulaic. That's really nice things about this, is you kind of create the things that you need and you reuse them. And that's with any video editor, just to make your work easier. I'm going to jump back over to another one that I want to talk about. This is new and I haven't done a video on it yet, but I do use it and I really like it. This is called the Wave Terminal Emulator. It does have some AI stuff built in, but you don't have to use it. But you can see over here that I was doing some different things and running some different stuff. And then over here, it's got like this little nice stats window that you can open in it. And then I've got like my Forge Joe stuff here that I've got open in it. And then over here, I can just go to another tab and I've got these different windows. And again, I've got my stats showing for the system. So when I'm doing different things, I can kind of see how my system's performing. And they've got these different tools like that over here. I mean, really cool. So I'm going to do a whole video on this, but it's very nice. It's open source. I really like this thing. I was looking for something as an alternative to the Warp terminal editor, which is not open source, unfortunately. I think it's a really cool terminal emulator, but I really wanted something like that. So I've been messing with this and I'm still learning about it. Once I've got a little bit more, I'll do a video on it, because honestly, you just go get it and install it and then you just start using it. Pretty awesome. I do want to talk about this one. This is one that I've been using for a long time. I did a video on it several years ago, and it's called Veloren, and it's a game. It's an open source game where you can host the server yourself, where you host everything yourself, and you just go get the game on Mac, Windows, Linux, whatever, and you play it. It is so much fun. So you can see I'm just controlling my guy. I'm just using the mouse for left, right, looking up, looking down, and then I'm running up this mountain because I'm way pretty low, and I want to get up a little higher. But yeah, so you can climb these mountains, and really the goal is to go find caves, go find towns, trade with people, buy things. But in the caves, you can get money and get gold and get other things that you can trade for money. I just need to climb a little bit there. There we go. So I'm going to get up here pretty high. I got my glider. So I'm just going to go run, and I'm going to glide, and you can fly. So you can fly through this thing, and it's not any faster than running for the most part, except you can go like straight and you don't have a lot of things in your way generally. But if you start to fall, you can open your glider and save yourself in a lot of cases. You can see it's pouring down rain right now. There is rain, there is snow, there is wind. There are all kinds of things you have to fight with to stay alive. But so much fun. I mean, we start playing this thing and we scream and we have fun, and we just, you know, it is a blast. Anyways, I'm not going to make you watch me play this game anymore. I'm not a gamer for sure, and nobody wants to watch me play this game. But that's Veloren. Such a fun game, open source, just an incredible community built around it. They've improved it and improved it and improved it. There are constant updates to the server, which runs really the game for you. You can seed your own world. Now that takes a little bit of configuration, so I may do a video on that at some point. And I've done that so that our world changes. And as we get kind of where we're like, okay, we've kind of hit everything here, we're not that fun, I go seed a new world. It takes 20 or 25 minutes, and then it's up and running and it's ready, and we go start with a new world, and kind of you start over. But so much fun. We just had a blast with this for years, so can't say enough good things about that one. Really love Veloren. It is such a great game. All right, I think I have covered all of the applications that I wanted to cover with you guys today. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, like, subscribe, tell your friends about it so they can come along on the open source journey with us, and I'll talk to you next time.